Good afternoon, everybody. Ed Oswald here with your 3 p.m. Eastern Time update on Hermine. Now post-tropical, extratropical, whatever you want to call it. Just remember, as we have been saying, don't focus on what the meteorologists are calling it. Focus on the effects. We're still looking at a lot of rain for the coast, and especially storm surge flooding in some areas quite significant from anywhere from the Chickatig area all the way up through Cape Cod. It is going to be quite a long, protracted event, and that's something that we really want to focus on for you here is that storm surge, because that seems to be the biggest effect. Real quickly, we were just taking a look here at the satellite picture. If you've been watching weather, this should look more like a nor'easter to you. That's because it's not purely tropical in nature. There is some chance that we may start to see things tighten up again. I'm thinking this is probably going to stay more like a nor'easter for much of its life, but it doesn't really matter. The effects are still the same. You know, storm surge is the big concern here, and I just want to take you a look here at the winds, and you can see well far away from the center. We have already in some areas here, that's Jeanette's Pier, 52 miles an hour with gusts to 62. You have another Stumpy Point Tower, that's gusts to 63. Out in the buoys, 50-mile-an-hour winds sustained with higher gusts. And even when you're coming up north to Dewey Beach, and you have 30-mile-an-hour winds, gusts to tropical storm force, and even inland, this is what you're going to see here is a lot of, I would say, brisk winds with occasional higher gusts, maybe 20, 30 miles an hour. Rain in this area probably not going to be a big story anymore, at least from what the model data is telling us. But I can just scan through here and you can see the effects of the wind field of Hermine is expanding, and that's what you see in those extratropical storms. The wind fields in tropical storms are much more tighter. The recon data really illustrates this well. Look at this area, large area of really relatively calm winds. You don't have a lot of strong winds around the center, but you move towards the Carolina coast, very, very strong winds over hurricane force at flight level. Even as they're now moving towards the Delaware coast, you're seeing that same thing in those very vigorous rain bands that we're going to show you here on the next slide, which shows you the radar. We're kind of in an area, unfortunately, in the northeast. The radars aren't positioned near the coast like they are in the southeast. Obviously, we don't have that much in the way of tropical systems to worry about, so that's more by design, but it does give us a little bit not as nice a view as we had down in Florida when it came on shore. But you can see right now, basically, Chickatig, Ocean City, maybe some southern Delaware beaches. That's the only people that are actually seeing any rain. But I'm already seeing in Ocean City, Maryland, some significant coastal flooding, and that's going to continue for several cycles. And you need to be aware that this will take a while for this storm to actually finally make its way out of here, as we're going to show you on the forecast tracks. And we are starting to get some new forecast tracks. This is as of 1 p.m. today. Right now, what I'm seeing, this storm is moving possibly to a little bit of the south of this guidance. May make a difference. It's not really altogether certain, but everyone seems to agree that we should start to see a turn to more to the northeast and possibly the north. And what will happen over the next 24 to 48 hours is this storm will actually do what we call retrograde. An easier way, more simple term, is hook. That's what you saw with Sandy, but this won't probably make it all the way back to the coast, but it could come close. Now, if it gets closer, this is when we have to start thinking about inland effects. Right now, not sold on that. I think the heaviest rain, that 2 to 4 inch rains, is going to be right along the coast here, especially from north of, I would say, New York City to possibly down to Chickatig or so. That's where the heaviest rain. Also, as far as storm surge flooding, I'm really favoring southern New Jersey, anywhere from Seaside Heights to Cape May, as the highest storm surge, probably on the order of 3 to 5 feet, possibly in some areas a little bit more. But the problem is with this storm, as it hooks back, it's going to start to slow down significantly. So you're going to see multiple rounds of high tide with storm surge effects in this area. If you're down there for vacation right now, I really recommend you come home. The beaches are going to be closed all weekend long. There's just no way that I see it getting any better, that they'll let you in the water, and you really don't want to be in the water. It's just going to be nasty at the beaches. Unfortunately, it's coming at the worst time, but it should clear up later in the holiday weekend, possibly on late Labor Day, but by then most of us will be making our way home, unfortunately. So kind of stinks, but there's nothing you really can do. But really what I want to see here in this next couple hours is that turn to the north and the northeast, and then coming back. If that doesn't happen, some of this guidance is suggesting that it may actually stay offshore. Actually, the National Hurricane Center's forecast does suggest that as well. I think they're playing it possibly a little too conservatively here, but you can see during at least one of those periods, whether it's tropical or not, there will be a hurricane of some type, or at least hurricane force winds, as early as tomorrow morning, and then that will be pushing those wave action onto the Jersey coast, onto Long Island, on the Connecticut beaches, the Rhode Island coast as well. And you can see right here that right now there's still tropical storm warnings, and all the way from about Cape Hatteras through Long Island. That is a new thing that was done after Sandy, because we figured as meteorologists we weren't just giving enough warning because we were being too literal about it. So these will stay in effect as long as Hermine is anywhere near land. Now, if you want to check with us to more often than the videos, we do have a website here. It's www.anvilweather.com/Hermine. You can see right here, it's got all the data that you need. We got satellite imagery, hurricane hunter data. We have a link to the National Hurricane Center as well as their forecast. You can see these wind speed probabilities. This is the chance that you will see wind speeds exceeding tropical storm force sustained at any given point. And this is a very useful tool to see where those tropical storm force winds are actually happening. And as you can see, because it's actually post-tropical, it's a much larger area than is what normally you would expect with a hurricane or a tropical storm that's purely tropical. But like I said, don't focus on what we're calling it. Focus on the effects. Storm surge, a lot of heavy rain, especially at the coast. It's going to be a rough holiday weekend. So if you're on the beaches, I suggest you just come home and make other plans. It's not going to be a fun time. We'll have a video later on this evening as well as updates on Facebook. It's www.facebook.com/EchoTopChasers. Give us a check out there. Ask us questions. We'll be happy to answer them for you. But until next time, I'm Ed Oswald, and we'll talk to you again soon.